Hello there, welcome once again to the European Tour's Life on Tour podcast presented by Hilton with me, Andrew Cotter, but again, rather more importantly, with a key figure, a great from the game of golf for every episode. And this week we are in the home of golf. We're in St Andrews and we are talking to Martin Kaymer. Martin, I was about to say good morning, but it's not at all. Good afternoon, how are you?
Good afternoon, very good. I played 18 holes today in St Andrews on a beautiful day. Could be worse days on the golf course or in any job, really.
Yeah, exactly. This is when you know it's quite a good job. Although we're here at the start of the Dunhill Links week, so just after the Ryder Cup, and I would imagine, go straight in there, it must have been, was it difficult for you watching it? or are you one of these people perhaps who says, I'm not even going to watch it?
Nah. Okay, well, the first question, if it was difficult, yes, of course it's difficult because I'm passionate about golf in general. I'm passionate about the sport, and I really, really loved being in those situations when it comes down to the Ryder Cup. So I know how much it means to me, especially I had some vital roles in previous Ryder Cups, and I know how much you can learn as a person, how much you grow as a person in those 3 or let's say 5 days, because really it starts already on Tuesday, Wednesday. It was very weird to watch and not being there, because it was so normal for me to be there. You know, since 2008, I was invited as a special guest from Nick Faldo, and I almost made the team myself. Only 10 or 12,000 euros. I was behind I think it was the 10th guy back then. I think he had only 2 picks. Yeah. And since then I was there all the time. So and it was very strange, and I think I took it for granted a little bit. Seeing it this year on TV was a wake-up call that is not normal. And it shouldn't sound arrogant, but it was a bit normal for me in the past. And it makes you realize, okay, you know, you really need to work hard to be one of the best players in Europe, top 12 in Europe, and makes me slowly realize again that I want to be there again in a very visual way, you know.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, this is more a look back at your life, so we'll do all that and more. But just one more thing on the Ryder Cup. Were you surprised when you looked at the strength of the American team that it was such a big win for Europe? I mean, everyone was saying, I suppose, the course was suited to the Europeans.
I think the course was definitely more suited for the European teams, because the American guys, you know, they don't play those kind of golf courses. We do that occasionally, even though some of the European players, they play more in America these days, but still, you know, it's a lot about shot making and really scramble around and trying to hit fairways as much as possible. And American players are not used to that. But I was surprised, once the Americans were down, how little fight there was. I was expecting more passion, more fight from the American guys. I don't know if they had it, it just didn't look like it, that they really wanted to come back from that, what was it, 5-3 after this Saturday morning, I think.
Yeah, 3-1 and then 4-0. So I'm doing the maths in my head here. 5-3. Yeah. Okay.
So I was missing that will, really, you know, to come back and fight to get back in the lead. And then after that Saturday afternoon session, it seemed a bit that they maybe even already have given up. That's the way it seemed a little bit. So I was a bit surprised about that, and then it was just a matter of how well can the Europeans be staying, or how well can they stay focused and continue their play. And they did that very well, to just not thinking, okay, we are 10-6 in front, it will be a gimme. It's never a gimme, and it didn't look like it after an hour and a half or 2 hours into the singles. So they really kept everything collected and very well together.
Yeah. Let's go back to the start then. So born 1984, is that right?
Correct.
Düsseldorf or Medinah?
Correct, Düsseldorf, yeah.
Yeah, Düsseldorf, okay. All good so far, factually correct. When did you start playing golf then? You were 10 or so, right?
Yeah, I was 10, 11 years old, and my brother and me always wondered why my dad was gone over the weekends. for
so
so
he was
long.
he was the golfer then.
Yeah, he started maybe 5-6 years before my brother and me started playing golf.
And was that quite? How big was golf in Germany at that time?
Well, it was seen as only posh people played, and it was almost embarrassing for me. I still feel a bit embarrassed these days to say that I play golf. I don't know why I still do, because I do a decent job at it, and I should be quite proud of what I've achieved, and of course I am, but still, being in Germany, when I go to bars or restaurants
It's
and I
not
meet...
cool.
Yeah, it's not seen as something cool, you know. In other countries, when you go to Great Britain, America, I think the people, the culture appreciate golf more. And that is, I think, just a lack of knowledge from my country, which is not a bad thing. There's no judgment involved there, if good or bad, but it's just, you know, we have football. Obviously, the UK also have football, but golf is so much bigger in those countries than in my country.
Yeah. Okay, so you took it up despite all the peer group pressure and people thinking you're not cool. You still took it up. Well, you just went along with your dad and your brother Philip, who is manager, 2 years older than you, is it?
Yeah, 2.5 years older. Yeah, yeah. We started then when I was 10, 11, my brother 13 or so. And at the beginning, I didn't really like it because it was so difficult. And I was playing football a lot and other sports, go-karting and all those things. And then I obviously, as a child, you know, you just want to play. And when you can play with your brother and with some of the other friends, and automatically you become better, because there was some kind of a talent. But as a child, you just play and have fun. And then I became better and better. And then all of a sudden you see yourself in a national team 5-6 years later. And so it was tough to avoid having success.
Were you competitive with Philip? Because 2 years older, he must have been, and he's a good player himself. So were you beating him quite early on or quite quickly?
No, the first 5 years we were pretty much. He was always a bit ahead, and then when I was 16, I think I overtook him because his interests were a bit different. You know, he's a smart one from the both of us. He went to school easily. He studied, so he has a different. He had a different path. I went that more sporty path, and I was more the guy who needs to be outside and just always moving. And yeah, so when I was 16, I think I overtook him just because I played more and I wanted to play more.
Was there a choice? Because I know you're a good footballer. You mentioned karting as well, which brings its own troubles later in life. But I mean, was football an opportunity? Did you have that? Were you good enough, do you think, to make it as a footballer?
I would like to say that I was good enough, but who knows? You know, I'm pretty confident in saying that if I try or if I decide to do something, I put everything into it. So and also the other way around. You know, when I decide to stop doing something, I focus on the thing that I want to do instead of regretting or doubting my decisions. So football, I would have given everything I had, the same way I put it into golf. So who knows where I could have gotten to, but golf was for me. I don't know. I had the decision. What do I do? This or that? And I don't know. My heart and deep down, everything told me do golf.
A striker, defender, midfielder?
No, I was the guy who was deciding the games. I was a striker.
Really, obviously. Why am I not surprised by that?
Well, I think it helps me also for the golf, you know. I was an aggressive footballer. I needed to see success. And as a striker, you have the success in, you make the goals. You know, obviously defenders, they have the success in different ways. And I think in golf, it's about results and being aggressive, being confident. And I think some parts of that football past helped.
But it's so different. I mean, the ultimate team sport and the ultimate sort of individual sport as well. So very different feelings in both of them.
Yeah, but for me, it was an advantage because I know that I don't rely on anyone else. I just need a little bit of help from my parents and from my brother, the support. Obviously, becoming a professional athlete in whatever sport you choose, you need some support, if it's financially or other supports, emotionally, whatever it is. And unfortunately, I had that.
Well, actually, early on in your career, you would have met up with Fanny Sunesson, because when we were speaking to her for this podcast, she mentioned you and said that she helped younger golfers. She got together with a sort of German federation, was it? And is that how you met her?
Yeah, but that was the time when I got to the national team. Fanny, she was invited by our coach to show us the strategy, golf strategy, how to play golf courses, what to look for when you see golf course for the first time. And then her and me, we got along very well. We had a very good chemistry, good connection, and I asked her a lot of questions, and then she helped me when I started turning pro, what to do, the right things to do.
And you still talk to her. I mean, she's something of a psychologist as well, Fanny, is she?
She's a very nice woman, you know. She's a very nice person to be around with, very knowledgeable, very wise, very calm, and very helpful. She was always, you know, I would call her part of my family because we got very close over the last almost 15 years now.
So, give us an exclusive on the Life on Tour podcast. Is she your next caddy then? Is she coming out of caddying retirement to do that full time for you?
No, I don't think so, because you know sometimes it changes relationships, and I think you shouldn't mix too many things. The relationship that we have now is very, very good for both of us. So I don't think it would be a good thing to do.
Okay, I tried. So I mean, as you said, you're obviously rapidly improving, getting into the national setup as well. So when did you suddenly think, actually, this could be more than just a hobby? It could be a career for me.
2005, I played the qualifying school in Germany, the first stage, and it was 1,800 euros to enter, and I didn't really have the money, and I didn't really want to ask my parents. So the captain from my old home club, he believed that I could do well.
This Mettmann?
No, there was in Bergisch Land. There was a different golf course that I played after Mettmann, because they had a better team. They played in the first league and stuff. And so, anyways, and that captain said, you know, I will give you the 1,800 euros that you can compete. And you know, I was still fairly young. I was only 21 or so, and I didn't really know if I can really. No, I was 20. Yeah. I didn't really know if I can really make it. And then, without much effort, I won the first stage in Germany by quite a lot of shots. And then it made me realize, you know, without needing a lot of luck or not needing to do something special, I was winning against some other guys who want to pursue that goal or that path. And I thought, okay, second stage was no problem either. And then I thought, okay, you know, if I continue what I'm doing, and that was just subconscious. I wasn't conscious. I was too young to understand. And that was a good thing. That's an advantage at that time. Yeah. So, and then I continued playing from there.
Was that a surprise to you, the transition? Because Padraig Harrington on this podcast has talked very interestingly about the transition from amateur to pro and how some people get overphased by it and think it's more difficult than it actually is. But to you, it came quite easily.
I think it's a personal thing. I think you need to be okay with being alone. And as an amateur, you're not used to be alone at tournaments. You go with other guys, you go with the national team, you share rooms. And you need to learn, if you don't have it already, to be okay and comfortable. Not only okay, to be comfortable traveling by your own and doing things on your own. My first year as a professional, I chose on purpose. That was my EPD tour year, the lowest tour there in Germany, to play all my practice rounds by myself, because I didn't want to have the distraction, because there's so much chit-chat and just, sorry, but so much bull being talked in practice rounds that you don't keep the focus. And because, you know, my parents, they were paying for the traveling, the costs for so many things, and I felt bad by not trying or preparing as good as I could. So I was okay, and I found a very good way for myself to be on my own and use it in a positive way, that I was always ready once the tournament starts, because I didn't want to waste any time on those lower tours. I want to get to the point where I can take care of my own life, financially and in many other ways, because obviously my parents also worked for a reason that they have a comfortable life once they are done working, and I didn't want to be the reason that they cannot go on vacation in 10 years. So, but that's just how I felt. But I think what Padraig is referring also to is that being alone, not lonely, but being alone, that you need to understand and accept.
Actually, when you talk about your father there, one thing I glossed over when you were growing up, did he make you practice without tees, even when hitting driver, is that right? So hit everything off the...
Well, it was not mean, it was just, one way to make my brother and me to understand what golf is about, that it's a game. That it's a game to be played, and you can play it in many different ways. And we also, when we were very young, we also always played from the tips, from the white tees, and then in tournaments we could play two or three tees ahead, and the golf course felt easier. I think it was just a psychological thing. Without a tee hitting driver from the deck, then all of a sudden in the tournament you have a tee, so everything becomes easier. So, and it still helps me these days. And those things, those are, now you realize how nice they are, and that you were so lucky to had someone who could teach you in a way like this without knowing much about golf and the techniques, just things about the game, that you can play the game in many different ways.
It's a fine balance between getting things right in terms of toughening up your children, but also not being that overbearing parent. I mean, everyone talks about how Tiger Woods was shaped by Earl Woods and all the intense sort of mind training that he gave him. So it sounds like you got the sort of the best of the toughening up without any sort of without going too much overboard.
It was always very healthy and very fair. Obviously, other things in our upbringing, they were quite hard, they were quite strict, but it was always fair. And I think to find that balance of not being mean, but still trying to educate your children as good as you think, is very difficult. But as long as it's fair, you always have an option, you have a choice. So, and I think it's, I'm not a parent, but it's probably the toughest job in the world, and you can only try your best. And I think our parents, they did a good job.
So you say you got to the EPD Tour, which is a sort of development tour, a couple of stages maybe below European Tour.
Yeah.
And
third level probably.
Third level, yeah. You're a third division golfer at this
Correct.
stage, but you're not really, because what, 59 you shot in the Habsburg Classic, was that? And
yeah, that was my 5th or 6th EPD Tour event. I think I played only 8, and I won 3 or 4 of them. And then I got an invite to the Challenge Tour event in Germany.
Yeah.
And that was quite critical that time. And I won that Challenge Tour event, and that got me then onto the Challenge Tour. But EPD Tour was just a short phrase.
Yeah, but again, at every stage you've been at so far, you are finding things, even though they're not, you're finding things fairly easy, fairly comfortable. Yeah,
because I was not conscious about what I was doing. It was for me so normal to just do. I think I was just, for me it was so planned out. If you do the right things, it's impossible not to have success. And I had no distraction of my goals. I didn't have any responsibilities in terms of that I needed to take care of other people. It was just about me. But back then, again, I was not conscious about what I have. I was just doing what felt right. And it's so simply said that you should do that always. But obviously circumstances changed. And back then, being only 6 months on the EPD Tour, getting onto the Challenge Tour was for me pretty normal. That's the way it was supposed to be.
And then the next step is what, you win the Vodafone Challenge. Is that your first time on the Challenge Tour, winning that? I mean, that was a big title. That was in Germany as well. So
it was just 20 minutes from my home. Yeah, that was quite big. And that was a tournament where my brother caddied for me also. Yeah. And that got me the card to play on the Challenge Tour for the rest of the year. Yeah. But I was running out of tournaments almost to have a category or to be in the rankings. I think you need at least 6 tournaments, and I think there were only 7 tournaments left. So, and the 7th was at final. So I need to play all the way through in order to secure my European Tour card for the next year if I would play well enough.
That must have been an emotional win for various reasons. As you say, your brother in the bag and family been there, and I know your mother was unwell at that time as well. But everything coming together, it must have felt like the biggest win in your life?
It was the weirdest win of my life, because there was a time where my mom got really sick, and there was a time where you really do not care about golf.
Right.
And that's the beauty sometimes, you know. Those are two opposites. You can either play and be very successful when you're very, very focused, you know, when you're in that bubble and nothing can really hold you back from success, or when you're super, super upset, because then you just don't care. So, and that's why that win was very meaningless in terms of life.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of golf success, it was huge. So somehow, you know, I used the negativity in a positive outcome in my golf life.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously a lot of us watch sportsmen and women competing and just see them as these performers who are playing and playing to win, but there's obviously far more often going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. How was the transition to the European Tour then? Because that was the next step, and suddenly you're on the big stage. But did you automatically feel at home?
No, I can remember it was my second tournament on the European Tour. I played in Hong Kong, and it was Padraig Harrington and Lee Westwood. They were on the putting green, and I was just looking around, and I was by myself on the putting green. I didn't know who was getting for me. I had a local caddy or so.
This is 2007 is the first.
That was winter 2006, so it was
Right, yeah.
October, November 2006. And I was just looking around. I felt awkward being in their way on the putting green, you know, because those are the guys who played Ryder Cups and whatever they've all won. And I didn't really feel like that I should belong there. And then it took me quite some time to realize that it's okay, that there's a reason that you're there, you know, because you have done well, even though it didn't really felt like they've done something special, but it was. And then 2007, that was my first year on the European Tour, and even then it took me 3-4 months to really understand that I was a member of the European Tour.
But there are 5 events you missed the cut in, your first 5 events, would that be about right?
Was it only 5?
Did you think it was
I
more?
thought, yeah, well, there was one tournament in Indonesia. I was third, 4 holes to go, and I finished with 3 bogeys and a triple bogey.
You got to let it go, Martin.
And I missed. I did now, but back then I got already text messages after the round congratulating me for my first cut, and I just made triple. So that got stuck in my mind. But those are good memories now, you know. It's, but it does take you some time to get used to the new environment.
But you improved quickly because you were the Henry Cotton Rookie of the Year. So what was the thing that clicked for you? Was it just again getting used to the environment and feeling that you did actually belong out there?
Yeah, I think it took me 5-6 months to understand that I actually made it within 12 months. That I made it from being an amateur to a European Tour player. Maybe I'm not smart enough. It takes me a little bit to understand that and to really reflect on how I got there. And then pretty much from May, June onwards, I played well, and I could feel comfortable on the golf course, and I could play aggressive and free. I was playing with a handbrake a little bit on the first few months, and then I could play free. And I gave myself actually decent chances to win my first tournament.
Well, your first tournament actually came Abu Dhabi, 2008. But this is a classic golfer thing to do if you've competed at all at any level. That you started to think about your victory speech when you had a good lead. Is that true? Then nearly lost it.
Yeah, you're afraid.
Yeah.
I packed only 1 pair of shoes that week. I know, and I wore the same shoes every day. And I thought on Sunday, you know, hopefully people don't realize that I wear the same shoes again 4 days in a row. Things like this, you think about it, it's so useless. And but that is what you do. And then you just want to defend your cushion of lead. You just want to defend it instead of trying to continue. And everybody says, you know, you should continue playing the golf, but do you really do when you win your first event? No, you don't. You're a liar. You don't do that. And so I was, you're afraid of losing that success that you already have in your mind. You know, you have that win already in your mind, and you're afraid of losing that. And fortunately, in the end, I think I won by 3 shots, but it never really felt like it, because it was Poulter and Westwood, I think, behind me. And those obviously are decent players, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, another win that year was in Munich in the BMW International, which again was a very emotional win, which I remember you saying, you know, to the camera, this is for you, you were talking to your mother at that time. So that was, again, a big win, which, a little bit like the win you'd had on the Challenge Tour, must have been a strange win as well.
Yeah, we just came from the US Open from Torrey Pines, and I got to Germany on Monday, and on Tuesday night, I got a phone call from my dad that it was time to come home. And then I drove home from Munich to Düsseldorf, stayed there for a couple of nights, skipped the Pro-Am, and then, but I still felt right for different reasons to play the tournament. So I drove back to Munich, and I played the first 2 rounds with Bernhard Langer, and I played well. Didn't care much, but I played well. And then on Sunday, I think I was leading by 5 or 6 shots going on to the back 9, I think, or let's say 12, 13 holes to go. And I didn't play really well. It was too much for me, you know, it was too much to handle. And in the middle of the round, I didn't really care what happens. And then I thought, I mean, if you don't care, then you can go home. Why are you here? So mentally, it was kind of like a roller coaster. And then 2, 3 holes before we were done, I really wanted to win. And then fortunately, I finished decent, and I was in the playoff. And that was the first time in my career standing on that tee box on the 18 in the playoff, knowing 100% that I will win the tournament. So there was a beauty about the power of your mind, you know, that you know how the playoff will turn out. And fortunately, that's the way it happened.
I mean, that's an exceptional case, that tour, because of what was going on with your family. But that does show the sort of roller coasters, the emotions that you were going through in that round, and how they can affect your game. It's extraordinary, golf.
Yeah, it's amazing, and how unimportant golf can be. So in the end, you know, you really realize deep down how important actually the sport is. You know, it's just hitting a ball from A to B and trying your very best. That's all it is. And that ultimately gave me more success in the future, knowing where I put golf in my life, which, you know, obviously some people, they can, if you want to put it in a negative way, they say, you know, he doesn't care as much as you should, but that's not true. You care more, but in a different way, in a more healthier way. So, and that makes you place golf in a more healthier,
You have the right perspective.
place. I think so, yeah.
Okay. And that year, you've touched upon it already, but very, very close to making the Ryder Cup team for Valhalla in 2008. And then you were taken along by Nick Faldo in a sort of observation role. How was that experience?
It was fantastic, because I was not ready to play the Ryder Cup that year. No, I was too young. It would have been too much. I mean, within 24 months, being an amateur to playing the Ryder Cup, I didn't think that at that time, but when I was there in Valhalla, I knew I wouldn't have been ready.
So when you missed out, you were frustrated, but you got to Valhalla and saw the scale of it and saw everything that it demanded of you, and you thought, actually, I'm quite glad just to be watching this time.
I wasn't frustrated. I was a bit sad. 50% sad and 50% relieved. So, and I asked myself, why am I relieved? That's where you want to be. How can you be relieved? And then I didn't find answers. And once I got there and watched the Friday and Saturday, I knew that's why I was relieved, because I wouldn't have performed the way I would have liked to, because I'm the kind of guy, you know, I need to know that I belong there, that there were reasons why I am there. And then 2010, it was fantastic for me to see everything and really understand what the Ryder Cup is about.
But that 2008 Ryder Cup is quite a strange one to be in as an observation role, because it was one of the rare ones for Europe that things kind of broke up a little bit, and there was a little bit of disenchantment, and it just didn't work for what was still a talented group of players.
Yeah, but back then, you know, I didn't know the players. I didn't know that this was going separate ways, because I didn't have anything to compare it with. You know, I was just a young boy watching 12 great players, listening to legends of the game, and being overwhelmed by everything. So I didn't really know where to put it. All those things that happened then, the good things and the bad things, I didn't really understand. I just took only the positives really out of that week for me.
So you continue to, the next year in 2009, continue to develop wins in France and Scotland. I told you we'd get on to the go-karting and how dangerous it was. So it was that year you broke 3 bones in your foot, was it?
Yeah, I was leading the European out of merit that year, 2009, after those 2 wins, because they were big tournaments, Scottish Open and French Open. And I had a decent season already leading up to those events.
So you thought, I'll just kick back, relax with some karting, and everything will be fine. Was this back in Germany?
No, that was in Arizona.
Had you always continued your go-karting from...
I enjoy it, yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, in our German history, we have a lot of good Formula One drivers, and in general, that karting sport was still big. And I did a karting week in the summer camp once, and I really enjoyed it. And then I raced in one race, and I won it, and I thought, oof, okay. So I had a passion for it. And then in Arizona, it was a day where you can go, you know, as long as you want. It's like a, how's it called? You pay $25 and you can race as long as you want. And my brother and me, we went, didn't have anything else to do because we didn't want to play golf every single day. And then it was just a matter of time that something happens. I could feel it because there was too many crazy people out there who couldn't drive. And yeah, it was that long turn, and I don't know, for whatever reason, the girl stopped in front of me, and full power, I hit that girl, full. And I thought my knee was completely screwed up. The pain was immense. So I hit with my fist. I hit against the steering wheel because I wanted to get away from the pain in my knee and my foot. Yeah, and I couldn't take the shoe off, and I went to the doctor, had a surgery in America and all those things. And then the tough one was the phone call to my dad. That was a tough part.
Do you have to make sacrifices when you're a professional sportsman? Lots of sportsmen have it written in their contracts they can't do other sports, they can't go climbing or skiing or whatever. So do you limit sort of the normality of your life? Do you not do things that you would like to do because you have to focus on your... Do you still kart, for example? Do you still go kart?
Yeah, I still do, but I drive scared now. And then last time I drove, I thought, Martin, that's useless. That is completely useless to drive like that. And I need to wait until the time is right again. But I still do the stuff that I like to do. It doesn't matter how dangerous it is, because as long as you respect the difficulty and everything around it is fine. I started skiing 3 years ago. And I never fall in my life so far, even though I started only 3 years ago, but I think you need to respect it, because I want to enjoy other things and playing golf also. And that was just a very unlucky time, yeah. It's okay. But it made me a better putter, because I had only 6 weeks of putting. That was all I could do.
Well, you came back and you finished third in the order of merit, so... And then next year, so you go on, you obviously love Abu Dhabi, because you go there and win again. And 2010 was kind of the breakthrough year in terms of the major. So let's go to Whistling Straits and tell us about that week and how it developed for you.
Whistling Straits was all about making the Ryder Cup team. I knew I was getting close. I need a decent week, and I'm in the Ryder Cup team.
So that's all when you go to the USPGA Championship, you're not thinking about that tournament itself. You're thinking about the Ryder Cup team. Yeah,
because I was never close in a major before. You know, I thought my time was not there yet. And then on that Sunday, I still was 4 or 6 shots behind Nick Watney. He was leading after 3 days, and I had a decent start. And then, obviously, I saw myself on the leaderboard on the 6th hole. I said to Craig, you know, we are leading the major. You know, whatever happens today, I can say that I led a major championship in my career.
So did you not feel that you, even at this stage when you've had lots of wins in the European Tour, did you not feel that you kind of were ready to win a major? Even during that round, you're saying, look, here, I'm leading, that's almost good enough.
I think subconsciously I knew I was good enough, but consciously I didn't want to be that confident towards myself. So I just wanted to let it be and let it happen itself. And Craig said to me on the 6th hole, well, why don't we finish it off and win it? And I thought, okay, come on, we're not there yet. We still have enough holes to go. And even after 16, 17 holes, I didn't think that I have a chance because I think I was 2 behind or so. And I had an amazing up and down on 18. And I knew when I make that up and down, for sure I'm in the Ryder Cup team. And I made that up and down. I was so happy that I could go to Wales.
Yeah. I mean, you get into a playoff, the other people up there, Dustin Johnson was up there and going well, and then you go into a playoff with Bubba Watson. So at these big moments when you're for winning tournaments, or later on, we'll come to the Ryder Cup, you got the winning play, you always seem to have this clarity and belief that you could win it and could easily see it off. Did you feel confident in that playoff?
Yeah, that was the second time. I had it 3 times in my career. So the first one was in Germany when I won the playoff. The second time was in Whistling Straits, where I said to my manager at that time, to Johan, we were sitting in the clubhouse, and I said to him, listen, if I play against Bubba, the 10th is a drivable par 4, 17 is a par 3, 18 is a par 4. So drivable par 4, for him, he will get home, he probably makes birdie. I need to pick up a shot on 17 that we're all square on 18. So, and 18 is then even, and let's see what happens then. So, and that's, I don't know, but that's the way it worked. He made birdie, I made birdie 17, we were all square, and then I chipped out on 18, he went for the green, he hit it in the water, and I made bogey to win the PGA Championship. So for me, that way of trying to win the golf tournament, how to get there was very clear, what you said. But how did I know that? I don't know. And I think you shouldn't even try to find explanations.
What were the immediate feelings after winning that? Because you're 25, 26 at that time?
Yeah, 25.
25, I mean, still young, and there you are, a major champion. So how long did it take to sort of sink in?
Probably until Christmas time or so. It took me a long time. The day after, I flew with my girlfriend at that time. We flew to Jamaica to go on vacation, and we had that planned already a couple of months before. And I went onto the plane, and the guy in front of me, he had the newspaper out, and there was my face on it, and I felt so embarrassed. I felt really embarrassed.
No, you didn't. Come on.
No, I was not comfortable. I didn't like it. I knew I won a major. Like, I knew it. I heard the words, but it was too much for me. It was really too much, and I felt embarrassed seeing it and people talking to me about it, and I didn't like that attention. It's too much for me. And then around Christmas time, when I was in America practicing again, people said to me, dude, you just won the major. Why do you practice so much? And then slowly I understood what I've actually done, watching on the TV the highlights of the year, watching myself winning the PGA Championship. Then it sunk in a bit.
It's interesting when you talk about winning a major and feeling a bit embarrassed by the attention. So you were never a person who wanted, as so many people do now, they want to do something to become famous. They want fame. Is that never anything you?
Depends on how you want to become famous. I think I'm comfortable by becoming famous through success and showing your talent and doing what you love to do. If you're good at that, that's fine. If you just want to be famous, that would be my wrong way of becoming famous. So, and I still struggle these days when people come up to me wanting pictures, autographs, being nervous, standing in front of you, the camera is shaking. I struggle to understand that.
Do you feel like saying, look, I'm just Mark?
No, for me, it's, and I still try to see it as something is part of my life, and I need to accept that. But I really struggle to understand, because I don't know when that would happen to me, what person needs to stand in front of me that I would be shaking.
When you were young, would you not? Ernie Els was your hero, wasn't he? Was he? Not Bernhard Langer. I'm stunned by that. I suppose he was a little bit. Ernie was the big guy when you were.
You want to say older?
No, I was going to say older, then I thought I better not. I respect him too much. But Ernie Els was the best guy when you were growing up.
Yeah.
So if you'd met him when you were young, you'd have been shaking, would you not?
I played with him. My first BMW International Open in Munich, I played with Ernie in 2003. And I was nervous playing with him because I wanted to show, it's very weird saying that, but I wanted to show him that I'm a good player.
Yeah.
So, because he was my role model.
That's not weird, that's normal.
Yeah, but I guess, when you're that young, that's what you do. And he gave me a nice compliment after the 18th hole. And I was so proud, just playing with him. I also made the cut as an amateur. It was huge for me. And But I was not shaking, you know, because in the end of the day, what we do is so simple for us, you know. It's a sport, and we just got so lucky in our past, in our childhood, that our parents showed us different things that we could find our talents. And yes, it was very good of me to see my talent and work on my talent, use it to make a living out of it and live my passion. But I believe we got very lucky in that way, and sometimes you feel, not anymore, but back then I felt a bit guilty of finding that and others don't find it. So that's why it felt a bit uncomfortable for me.
So, I mean, one thing you mentioned at the USPGA was that it certainly put you in the Ryder Cup team. So Celtic Manor, tell us about that, because that was a great Ryder Cup. It was a wet Ryder Cup, but it was a great Ryder Cup. So what are your memories of that week?
I felt very privileged to be on the first tee on Friday morning. It was the first group with Lee Westwood. I was so happy that I could play with Lee Westwood. And he was injured before that. 6 weeks he didn't play golf, and he didn't know if he was ready, but he was certainly ready. He really carried us on Friday and Saturday. We played, I think, 2 or 3 matches together, and we got 2.5 points, I think. And I was so proud to have him next to me. But that time, again, you know, I was okay with being on the team because I earned my way into the team. I won the PGA Championship, so I felt like I deserved to be there. So, and I enjoyed that one. But, you know, then all of a sudden you're a Ryder Cup player. It's pretty cool.
Again, the sort of progression, there seems to be a steady progression throughout, because not only do you go on then to win the Order of Merit title, the Race to Dubai, but then you win in Abu Dhabi again, that's 3 in a row, and then suddenly world number 1. There was that position. What did you feel like when you became world number 1? Because sometimes you talk as if you're very modest and self-effacing and feel uncomfortable in the spotlight, and there you are, suddenly the best golfer in the world. Did that feel right to you?
Well, first of all, I didn't feel like the number 1 in the world because I think, you know, when you're best in something, you can do anything. You can hit every single shot. You have it all, the whole game under control. But I didn't. I could not play a good round in Augusta. I was useless in Augusta.
And that's what people talk about. They say, well, you tried to just tweak things so you could hit a draw. And was that purely for Augusta?
No, it was not purely for Augusta. It was purely for my own mind, for my own conscience, developing as a player. 2011, I was the number 1 in the world, going to Augusta, knowing it will be very, very difficult to make the cut. And that is not how somebody who's the number 1 in the world should approach a golf tournament. And that made me realize, okay, the number 1 is just a number. Who cares about the number? You need to feel like the number 1 in the world. If you are the number 1 at that time, who cares? And then I needed to talk to my coach, and I said, listen, that's the way I feel. That's the way I want to play golf. What do we need to do?
And that will make absolute perfect sense to you and to some people, but to a lot of people will say, well, but this is working for you. Lee Trevino just faded the ball, Monty faded the ball all his life, and look at the success that they had, and you were having success, number 1 in the world, you won the USPGA, so
but
why?
There's a different way of success. There's a success of having results and trophies and money, or there's your own personal success. I was not personally successful as a golf player, and that is important, because in 2010, by then, I was financially secured. I didn't need to look after my money as much as I did 5-6 years before that. So for me, I needed to be personal. It needs to be personal success for me, and that is where I realized being the number 1 in the world was the loneliest time in my life, because it was so empty. Number 1 in the world, what does it mean? It means nothing really, because it's just the result of the path that it took you, or the long 10, 12-year path of full commitment to that result. So I was very proud and very happy how I got there and what I put into it to get to that spot. But the actual number 1 in the world was for me meaningless.
So are plenty of things going on in your head that year? Because you win the WGC, HSBC out in China, but apart from that, there were a few struggles. So what was happening? Was that as a result of trying to tinker with this thing, trying to make you the more complete golfer?
No, what we talked about earlier in 2010, when I was all of a sudden I was in the spotlight, I was being seen major champion, and I didn't like that. Number one in the world is even worse. You know, all of a sudden you get emails from celebrities, Hollywood stars, you go to nightclubs, you don't have a table, but they clear the table for you, and you feel like, why? I mean, yeah, because you're number one in the world, and you know, it's difficult to understand. For me, it was difficult. I'm not that kind of guy who thinks that's normal. I get it, why people do it, but I didn't like to be treated like that. So it took me, it was more like a personal understanding, acceptance, transformation in 2011 than the golf. And the golf was not the problem. The drawing the ball, that was not the problem. But a personal thing to understand your place, your position in the world of golf.
So, yeah. I mean, so do you think you'd have to, I suppose, if you won the majors and ascended to world number one and felt comfortable with the adulation and the tables and restaurants and people looking at you and adoring you, you'd probably have to be a slightly not normal person to think that is normal, if you like.
I think a good way to explain it is when people say, when athletes or whoever gets famous, that gets successful, you shouldn't change. You should stay the person you are. I think the opposite. You have to change. You have to change in a way of understanding why people treat you the way they treat you. There are only 3 people in my life who treated me the same way before number one and after. Only 3 people, my brother, my dad, and my coach. Even some people from my family that wanted a picture with me, who changed my diapers. How weird is that?
Can you spot when they change? Can you instantly see when people are being a certain way with you because of who you are rather than because of the Martin that you know?
Well, now I can see it. Now I understand it. Back then I was overwhelmed. Also interviews, I said what people wanted to hear. You know what people want to hear kind of when you hear the question. Now I answer the way I want to say things. I want to answer without thinking, is it good, is it bad? I don't care if it's good or bad, that's just who I am, and that's for me the easiest way to talk and to show the people when they're interested who I am and what I'm about. So it doesn't feel like work. Back then it was work, because if you need to think what you want to say, it was quite tiring.
So when you look at someone like McIlroy, or like Tiger Woods even more so, when you see the life that he has chosen to live and his success has brought that, but it's a life that some people would envy, but not if they actually knew what it was like.
Well, you said chosen to live. Have they really choose to live that life? I don't know. When you're 2 or 3 years old and you're already in a TV show, do you choose that life? No. I don't know. So I think you need to look beyond that and a little bit more precise that when you grew up with that lifestyle, maybe it's easier to deal with it. Maybe it's more normal to deal with it. For me, you know, I come from a very simple town, and I was not in TV shows. That was not what my family was about. So, and there's no judgment if it's right or wrong, but it's just a matter of getting used to it, liking it or not liking it, and finding your own way.
So then you go on to 2012, and so many people know you not for your major successes or for reaching world number one, but for that putt at Medinah, completing the miracle of Medinah. But you were actually, I mean, you weren't comfortable with your game that week. You said you weren't playing well. Despite that great final moment, was it a difficult week for you in some ways?
It was it difficult? It was difficult after Friday afternoon. I lost my match. I think I played with Justin Rose, and I didn't play good enough that we had a chance to win that match. And then I was quite okay with sitting out on Saturday because I couldn't help the team. On Sunday, I knew it was up to me. In match play, you can even play okay and you can win. It's just a matter of, you know, trying mentally, wanting it a bit more than the other one. And so for me, that was okay to set out on Saturday. But then Sunday, I really, really wanted to win my match without knowing how important it could get.
You've talked about it so many times, I know, but you're over that putt. How long have we decided that putt was? What was the final decision on that putt? 6 feet?
Some people say 6, some say 7.
Okay.
Whatever. It was.
So this, 6.5 foot putt that you had, that you never worried about. I mean, for most people, they would go to pieces over the prospect of all the pressure of that putt, but you just felt this is a fairly straightforward thing to do.
For me, in the situation, having that first putt, that is where it started. The first putt had an influence on the second putt, or maybe the other way around, whatever you want to see it. But the first one is I still had the mentality of trying to make the first putt. So, and that sounds very weird to some people, but I was very lucky that my attitude hasn't changed. So for 17 holes, you try to make every single putt. You try to make them. You don't try to lag anything, you try to make them. So and then on 18, I needed only 2 putts, but I wanted to make it. So that's why it was a fairly aggressive putt. But I knew standing over the first putt, if I pass it by, it's just an uphill putt coming back, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So for me, it was quite clear what I needed to do, and it didn't seem too difficult to do. And then when it ran by 6.5 feet, whatever it was, I still thought, well, Stricker still has 10, 12 feet for his par putt. So, I have actually 2 chances to win that thing. If he misses, it's gone. Hopefully he makes it, that I can get the ultimate feeling. That's how I felt. And it's quite great that you have that feeling.
To hold the putt.
Yeah, because I wanted to get the most out of that situation. And that's the beauty about that situation for myself, that I didn't run away. I wanted the most pressure, the most excitement that you can get in my career. And I saw everything so clear, and I knew when Stricker made his, I knew I was going to make mine too. There was a third time in my career that I knew that putt will go in. Yeah. So, and there was not any doubt of missing, or any doubt of maybe I don't make it, because it was so clear. I saw the line and I just let it happen. And it's quite difficult to put into words. That's why it's so special, that you shouldn't even try to explain how you thought, because it's a gift that I got in that situation, and I used it in the most ideal way for me personally, and obviously the most positive outcome you could have gotten.
So when you talk about these moments of clarity and utter confidence, not arrogance, just utter confidence and belief, does your career have peaks and troughs in terms of belief, and sometimes there's a great deal of doubt or whatever? 2013 was another difficult year on the course for you?
Yeah, 13 wasn't great, 12 wasn't great, besides that victory, personal victory and Ryder Cup victory. But I think it's just normal in careers, that, and people make it too dramatic also. They make it so radical, and I understand that by now, that people, they want to be entertained, they want to see the best of you, and they don't even care why you don't play well. They just pick the best things of you, and if you don't play well, then you're useless, or you gave up, or you're not hungry anymore, and all those things, and you need to understand that. So, and that's why 2014 was one of the best seasons of my career in terms of just knowing what you want and delivering.
Well, you delivered obviously at Pinehurst, so tell us about that, because a couple of 65s. And everyone says that was the best golf they've seen from any golfer at any time.
It's who knows, but I wouldn't put myself in that department there. But I was definitely surprised myself a bit to be 10 under par after 2 rounds at the US Open. But again, I just played very solid golf, and I didn't miss any putt within 6 or 7 feet. So, and I putted everything off the green, because I thought it was my best chance to give myself chances to save pars. Worst, you make bogeys. And it took all the big numbers out. But I did play good golf, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of when majors come down to down the stretch, people don't know who's going to win. The players don't know until the very end. I've got a great chance here. At what stage in that major did you know you were going to win?
I would say on Wednesday? 14 on Sunday. No, on 14 on Sunday. It was a mental challenge. After 2 days, I thought, I'm in a great position. I'm leading by a few shots, a major. So it's another chance to win a major championship. And then I continued my own play. I just tried, okay, just continue playing the way you played. And Saturday, what not many people know, was quite difficult because I think the USGA, I'm not sure if they were that nice to me because they know I was fading the ball. I think they put 12 or 13 flags on the left side of the green. So, and I shot 1 over par on Saturday. And I was so proud of that 1 over par because the golf course was already difficult, but with all the pin positions on the left side, I thought, geez, that's tough for me. And that was a good success for me to shoot only 1 over par.
When you won that, and actually going back to what you said before, and you had to make the change because you wanted in your head, not for anyone else, but just for you to be able to draw the ball a bit. Were you a more complete player now?
Yeah, I was now or already in 14. I was 14, yeah. I was not scared of any shot. I was so comfortable with whatever happens to me on the golf course today, I'm prepared. It's just a matter of committing to it and doing it. And just having that within yourself, it gives you a great calmness. And that was the week where I was the calmest in my whole life because I was so conscious and so aware of where and what position I was and what I needed to do.
So when you had won the USPGA and you talked about suddenly the restaurants open up to you and people are giving you attention, there you are in the newspapers. How did winning the US Open compare? Because suddenly you're in the spotlight again. Were you more comfortable with it this time?
Yeah, I felt I won that event. PGA Championship, was overwhelmed, confused, surprised. US Open, I really won because I was dominating the event from Thursday morning till Sunday afternoon. So I felt very proud, very satisfied, and I thought, Martin, that is the ultimate win. That is how you win golf tournaments. And I felt I deserved the attention, and I felt okay with the attention because I also won a big tournament a couple of months before that, the TPC Sawgrass. Yeah. So it was a great time of the year.
Actually, let's go back to that Players' Championship because that was, people say the unofficial 5th major, but it's a big, big tournament, and that was an important win for you.
It was an important win for me because Paul McGinley, he came up to me on Wednesday, and he said, Martin, we need a couple of good weeks from you. I really want you in the Ryder Cup team. And obviously that was the first good week, Sawgrass, and when I won. And Paul McGinley was the only one who was waiting for me on Sunday afternoon, and we had dinner together in Sawgrass together. And we spoke a little bit about Ryder Cups, and so that was very nice of him. And then, there was a good confidence boost for the whole year.
Yeah, and traditionally the U.S. Open finishes on Father's Day, and the Players' Championship is Mother's Day, which again obviously has a lot of emotion for you. And Philip did he send you a text message during the Players' Championship?
Did he?
Did he? I don't know. I've got.
Do you have?
I've got the details over here. I don't have it. No, I don't. But I mean, it's something that obviously it meant a great deal to you. Is what I'm trying to say. That some wins mean more than others.
Of course, they mean a bit more, and I'm sure, on that's the 17th in Sawgrass when I made that huge par putt. It's hard to believe there was only skill. So, knowing that Sunday was Mother's Day, who knows? Maybe there was a little bit of help.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That was Jim Furyk, wasn't it? Was Jim Furyk there?
He was already in the clubhouse. He was waiting with his wife. Yeah, and then I still need to make par on 18, and it was so dark.
Yeah.
I couldn't even see when on the fairway on 18. I had an 8-iron to the green, and I couldn't see the grass behind the ball. I couldn't put the club. I need to feel the club on the ground, knowing that I grounded it because it was so dark. Yeah. It's quite nice playing golf like this. It makes you remind of when you were younger. You're playing into the darkness, yeah.
Yeah, playing until 11 at night. So what about that Ryder Cup that year then? Because you've said that was your most enjoyable one because you were playing well and you felt just everything went perfectly.
Yeah, the team was so strong. Strong team. I felt very confident in my game. Being in Scotland in general, I really enjoy playing tournaments in Scotland, winning here a couple of times, having that atmosphere, being on top of my game, having 11 other strong players behind you, great captain who was very organized, and he really gave us the confidence and the belief in ourselves. So the whole week was just hard to lose the Ryder Cup. but you still need to deliver it. But for me, it was a very nice week, and those 3 days were fantastic.
And just to round up the Ryder Cup chat, if we move forward to Hazeltine, a very different experience, and you've talked about it as well, how you felt when you earned your way onto the team, that it was great. And was it just a very different feeling at Hazeltine?
Yeah, because it was my first time that I had a pick. I got a wild card from Darren Clark, and I played well going into the Ryder Cup. I felt confident enough that I can do well, and I think I did well in the whole week. For me, it was quite important that I could win my single match on Sunday, because I thought, I'm 11th again, the same number that I was in Medinah. We were a bit behind on Saturday afternoon, but I thought maybe it could come down to those 2-3 last matches again. Unfortunately, it didn't get to that point, but they were just better. They just played better golf.
Yeah. So 2016, a big year for golf in terms of going into the Olympics, and you as a lover of all sports, I mean, everyone talks about how Justin Rose took to it. Obviously, he won the gold medal, but he loved watching all the sports and being part of the village as well. How did you embrace the Olympics?
For me, it was similar. I don't know if he stayed in the village during the tournament.
He dropped in occasionally, and they scattered rose petals in front of him.
Fair enough. And now he can with a gold medal. I stayed in the village the whole time because I wanted to see it. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to experience it, feel it. And it was quite difficult to focus on my own sport. I went to the gym sometimes twice a day because I just wanted to see them, how they train. I wanted to understand how to become better, getting knowledge about how can I improve in my sport, being inspired by them. And I was very tired the whole week, playing games and other sports on the floor with other German athletes. So for me, it was a fantastic week, and I look forward to go to Japan.
Yeah. Who in particular did you sort of hang out with or pick things up from?
Well, the gymnastic guys, they were quite impressive. I mean, man, how you can get a body like that and being so flexible and so fit, how you can transform a body. I love that.
They're very short though, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're very strong, and the understanding of their own body, understanding how the body works, they have so much knowledge about it, and that was a very inspiring week for me.
Okay, roll on Tokyo. Just before we round things up and look forward, what do you do when you're not playing golf? We know it's a solitary life, and it's a life of airports and hotels and travel, so what do you do when you're not practicing or playing golf?
Well, you need to find passions. Besides golf, you need to find hobbies, and I know it's quite difficult to spend time on your hobbies and your passions because that job is quite time-consuming, and that is already your passion. So 80% of my life I dedicate to golf in one way or the other, whatever I do. But when I'm home, what do I do? Fortunately, I like to watch other sport events. I like to go see the best in the world, getting inspiration from those things. But I also like building in the house a lot. I help my dad quite a bit because he's renovating his house.
And you do it? You're a DIY man? Are you good with your hands?
What man?
DIY. What does
that mean?
Do it yourself.
Oh,
a bit of hammering, a bit of carpentry, a bit of electrics.
We have a little shed next to the main house, and that shed needs to be completely renovated. Okay. And I love going there and helping my dad, because my dad, he can do everything himself. Learning that from him, it's what not many people can do these days, especially the money that we make. The people that we surround ourselves with, they always call people in to do it for them. And then it never feels like it's really yours. It's, if you do it yourself, you have a connection to it, you have a relationship to the whole thing, you understand. So, and that is what I enjoy doing a lot.
Yeah, do it yourself. There you are. So you could build
DIY.
You could build shelves, a shelving unit.
Yeah, IKEA is fairly simple.
Oh, come on.
But we can do it ourselves. Yeah, I mean, of course I can do it, and I enjoy it because I don't care how long it takes, because I take quite a lot of pride in it to do it properly. That's maybe the German mentality. If you do it right with good quality that lasts forever. I really enjoy that.
How do you say DIY in German then? What is the word for that? There is no word, because that's just normal life.
But exactly, that is normal life. Yeah, it is, isn't it? That's what people do.
Not if you're lazy, no.
No, but
or Scottish or incompetent.
No, but that is what I think. What we also forget, that it's easy when you have a certain amount of money on your account. You can just call somebody, and you let it be done by somebody. But you need to develop and also understand what kind of life you're living. You need to develop your mind also, that you can. Some athletes, they cannot even put a post, or as I say, like a letter to the post and send it somewhere. So how is that possible? So without that, I mean, what does it leave you without the sport?
Do you, a normal man, just go down the supermarket yourself? You do your shopping yourself?
Some people laugh about it. Last week even, there was a couple, they played golf with me when I was younger. They said, listen, we can do the shopping for you. You don't need to come here to the grocery store. I can bring it to your home. I said, well, I enjoy it. You enjoy shopping? I said, yeah. Okay. So, and that's the weird thing about it, that people think, how can he enjoy it? Why does, that I don't understand. And that's the confusing part, that they see you as somebody else. And that's what I meant earlier.
Does it make you uncomfortable a bit? It makes you feel a bit strange that people...
Makes me, I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but I don't understand, just because you're a good athlete, why should you be different in other parts of your life? Yeah. That is confusing for me, that people think that way.
Okay. Classical music, I'm told. Are you a classical music fan?
Oof, that's a stretch, yeah.
Is it? Stretch.
Wow.
Bit of Wagner here and there.
Wagner, Mozart, Beethoven. Oh, no, it's a bit too much. Yeah, I wouldn't go there. I mean, I wouldn't listen to that in the car. I like Ed Sheeran, Bon Jovi.
That's not classical music. That's far from classical music.
Yeah, that's a bit opposites. Yeah.
Yeah, that is German soft rock without being Germans. So looking forward then, because at the moment, we started with saying, obviously, watching the Ryder Cup when you feel you should be there, and we kind of feel you should be there. So where is your game, and what are your goals going forward? Because you're still, for the long career you've had, a young guy, 33?
Yeah, I think you need to ask yourself the right questions, and the right questions, they can be sometimes answered, they need to be answered honestly, but they can be quite hard sometimes for yourself. But I think you need to figure out what is the right thing to do right now in order to have success again. And I'm going through that process right now. What do I need to do in order to play better golf again, to play the golf that I want to play and to be successful? So, and working with the right people, doing the right amount of practice, the right amount of relaxation, all those things that I need to. I have a good plan, and I'm on a very good path right now, and I'm really enjoying that development. And I can only say for myself, who knows when the success will come, but I'm really enjoying that way of working now that I did 10 years ago, not knowing where it will lead me to. But that working thing, got me to the number one in the world. And now I'm feeling the same thing. Who knows where it will get me, but this is the enjoyable part right now.
So what is it that motivates you then? Because you said getting to world number one, that's not really a goal to be called the number one golfer in the world. Is it winning the titles again? Because it's clearly not the fame that you seek.
Well, we all have egos, and we all need to feed at one stage a little bit of our ego and feel like we need results, we need visual results, that whatever we have done was right. And I know feel-wise it feels right what I'm doing now, but at one stage I just want to have a little bit of a proof. So of course we need success, we need titles, and that is what I'm looking forward to. That it's just a matter of time that it will come, because I feel and I know I'm doing the right thing. So when it happens, I don't know. The goal is definitely, for your career, to win the other two majors. If I win the other two majors, I wouldn't say I quit playing golf, because I love it, but I will play less. I wouldn't know what to play for then anymore. Okay. Because I have done everything in my career.
And winning the Open here at St Andrews, is that...
To be honest, I don't care where I win them. If it's St Andrews 2020, it will be very early and it will be a good time.
Okay. And did you ever pay back that member the €1,800 to enter the Q School?
Unfortunately, he died.
Oh God, sorry, let's not end on that.
So, to answer that question, no, I have not.
Okay, let's edit that one out. Actually, I do want to ask you about, because he remains a friend, but you have to make difficult decisions as a golfer sometimes, that Craig Connolly, we all know well, and has been a caddy for you. And they become a part of the team, even though it's an individual sport, but it's a kind of difficult decision that you had to make recently to try and change something or freshen things up.
With Craig, it's a tricky one because, you know, we got very close as friends the last, 7, 8 years. Obviously, as a caddy, a player relationship, you talk a lot about personal stuff, a lot of stuff on the golf course. When you walk, you know, you spend so much time together. But we could, I think both of us felt it coming the last 3-4 months. Things didn't really go well anymore, picking on each other a little bit here and there, which is not who we are. And then we really tried 2-3 times to have a reset and really go again. And it just didn't work. And, you know, in the end of the day, we all need to look after ourselves and what is the best thing for both of us. And obviously, in that constellation, I'm the one who needs to make the call. And I was happy to make the call because I felt like now is the right time for both of us to let go and find different ways. If we're going to get together one day again, fine, perfect, hopefully. But for now, I think it was the right decision.
Do you now have a knowledge of Scottish football that you wouldn't otherwise have had?
I, with all respect, but I think it's one of the most boring leagues in the world.
Okay.
Just saying, there are only 2 teams playing for the win.
Not even 2 teams. Actually, it's the hit. Listen, this season it's a bit more interesting. So quite a few teams.
Okay. Well,
you've stopped following it, haven't you? You're not interested in it.
Oof, no, not much. I get invited many times to go to the stadium, and I would love to go. And I'm sure I'm still invited from Craig. But let's wait until the Champions League.
Okay, you're talking about Celtic Park rather than Firhill.
Well, yeah, Celtic Park I was invited. The other I was not.
Okay, excellent. Who's your team?
Well, I'm a supporter of Bayern Munich, but I really like the German national team. I know they had a shocking year, but I love watching the best football players, having a couple of relationships with the players, you know, knowing them. That is inspiring. I enjoy that.
I love it when a German talks about the German team having a shocking year. You should try being Scottish, Martin, because it's not easy.
Yeah, but sometimes it's better not to get somewhere in the first place than getting somewhere and really screwing up.
Okay.
So then you can't screw up if you don't get there.
We shall end on that note with me being belittled by Martin Kaymer. Martin, thank you very much, and good luck going forward. All right,
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
To watch another European Tour video, click here, and to subscribe, click here.